Our story begins in a high school, where we notice a student named Sito. We find him writing on a piece of paper for his classmate, expressing that he wants to get to know her. If she accepts his request, he will be happy. He then leaves it on her desk without anyone noticing. When his classmate returns to her desk, she sees the paper and is surprised by what is written on it. Then, she goes to the live broadcast room. She is one of the members participating in the school's radio station. After a song is played, she looks at the paper again and still cannot believe that Sito likes her. We see that she becomes confused as soon as she spots him, and it's easy to tell that she also likes him. We discover that Sito is the most popular and handsome boy in the school. Most of the girls like him because he is calm, takes care of himself, and is also athletic. As he approaches her, she falters and stands frozen in place. She doesn't move until her friend Jdrama approaches her and pulls her away so they can leave. While they're walking together, Rhoda asks her, "If Sito told you he wanted to be with you, what would your reaction be?" At first, Jdrama is surprised by the question, but she replies, "No," because she thinks he's surrounded by too many girls. Most girls always look at him, and besides, he's not her type. She's currently only concerned about her future. At that moment, Rhoda walks silently, lost in thought about Sito, and her friend's opinion doesn't matter to her because she can't believe he has feelings for her. When she's in her room later, she goes crazy, spinning around like a bee while holding the paper he wrote to her. The next day, we find her putting a letter into Sito's pocket, his shoe pocket, and she quickly walks away before anyone sees her. We learn that she wrote to him, apologizing because she won't be able to get involved with him until she gets to know him better. Then we go to Sito, who is being confessed to by another girl, but he calmly responds by apologizing and letting her know that he already admires a girl from his class. Later, we go to the cafeteria, where Rhoda is imitating something in front of her classmates. The girls sit around her, listening with great concentration. If the teacher were explaining, they wouldn't be this focused. All they think about is who the lucky girl is that Sito admires so much. On the other hand, we notice Rhoda sitting at her desk alone, listening to them, and feeling embarrassed to tell them that she is the girl they're talking about. During another class, she notices a piece of paper from Sito in her desk drawer. It contains his response, saying he has no problem with getting to know each other. She is shocked by what she reads and suddenly stands up, to the point that the teacher thinks she wants to solve a problem, but she apologizes and tells him she was just a little impulsive, then stands there lost in thought, as if she has a headache. What's strange here is that Sato's looks at Leonara are a bit unusual. We go back to Rhoda, whose mind is completely blown. She runs around like the hands of a clock in the broadcast room, not knowing what to do. Should she go out with him or pretend she hasn't seen the paper at all? At that moment, she looks at herself in the mirror and asks, "What does it mean that he chose me?" Eventually, when she calms down, she responds to him with another piece of paper, telling him he can leave his replies in the box in front of the room. They begin corresponding through it, and we see that he actually goes along with her request. Over time, their exchanges never seem to end, and we notice that both of them remain cheerful and kind with everyone around them. One day, she finds him leaving the room and is surprised to see him standing right in front of her, making her heart race. Suddenly, a malfunction occurs in their brain cells, and they don't know what to say to each other. Sato's friend takes Rhoda by the hand, apologizes to her, and leaves. After that, she tries to open the box and finds that he has left her a note, writing that they will correspond through it because he wants to get to know her better. He explains that they should continue writing to each other until the paper runs out. He adds that, in that case, they will start talking directly, face to face. But the big shock is that he says to her, "Oh, Jdrama's demeanor," which becomes a huge surprise for Rhoda, because she's sure he's into her friend. Her frustration is obvious. We know that Jdrama is popular at school and is known for her serious personality. She wants to become a law professor. One time, she's in a seminar where all the students are gathered. At that moment, Rhoda notices Sato staring at Jdrama with admiration while she's talking. She doesn't know what to do about the dark situation she's in. She decides to write to him on a piece of paper, explaining that she's not Jdrama and that she'll return the diary to him. We see that when she goes to the shoe closet and finds him there, she's in a state of confusion. Her nerves fail her, and she falls to the ground. At that moment, he asks for permission to talk to her. Knowing that she's Jdrama's close friend, he asks her about her and says he wants to know if Jdrama talks to her about him. She refuses to tell him that Jdrama said he's not her type, but she knows what her friend really told her, that she'll return the notebook to him soon and that she'll be happy. After that, Rhoda decides to communicate with him as his only friend because she's afraid of confronting him and telling him the truth. From their conversations, Rhoda learns that he loves the same band she does. The next day, while she's at school, She watches him playing soccer, and her love for him is clear in her eyes. She hopes that he will forgive her when she finally tells him the truth. While she's going downstairs, she meets Yunira's ex-boyfriend. At that moment, he seizes the opportunity and asks her to get back together, to at least talk normally, even if only as classmates, nothing more. But she remains confused and doesn't know how to respond to him. Later, when she's in a room, the favorite song of both her and Sito's band starts playing. This, of course, makes Sito happy, as she's interested in the things he loves. From that time on, their conversations increase noticeably through their notes. At another time, we find Rhoda's classmates taking her somewhere to sing karaoke. By pure coincidence, she finds Sito there, clearly upset. We know that it's because Yunira isn't with them. He can't believe he's seeing Rhoda sitting next to him and asks her about Yunira. When she doesn't respond, he wants to know if she was the one who asked to play the song that day. Of course, he means the band. She responds in a neutral way, saying that it's normal sometimes it happens, and her friends ask her to play certain songs. When she goes out to get herself a drink, Sito is surprised. It's clear that he doesn't even like her, and he tells her, "You always have no opinion, just like anyone else. People tell you something, and you just say, okay, and that's it." He adds that he's had enough of her silence. He explains that he's surprised by her quiet nature. She doesn't respond to most things directed at her, and that no one realizes she's actually delicate and easily embarrassed. Feeling hurt, Rhoda asks her classmates for permission to leave. Sito also says he has to go home and follows shortly after. On her way, she worries because she suspects he wants to talk to her. As they walk together, she stays one step ahead of him. Then, he apologizes for what he said earlier. The real shock comes when he tells her that he likes Leonora. Rhoda is clearly upset. Even though she already knew this meaning, it's not a surprise to her, yet it still hurts deeply. The important thing is that Sito makes things worse and makes Rhoda realize that, although she helped him express his feelings toward Leonora, his true emotions are hidden. As far as he knows, he has left them behind. They use the box in front of the broadcast room as a messenger between them, but he becomes rude and upsets her. He explains to her that what annoys him is that she responds to everything by just saying, "Oh, it's nice," and that's it. Then he apologizes to her for the second time for getting angry with her. When she replies, "Nothing happened," he says, "Even that? You don't even tell me your opinion about it." He draws her attention to the fact that she must have her own opinion and a reason behind it. It's funny because when she first hears that word, she laughs. He's surprised and thinks she's teasing him. Later, when she finds him kicking a ball that some guys are playing with, she assures him that he's really good at it. He tells her that he used to be a member of a soccer club but doesn't play anymore. She listens to him quietly and nods. Sito can't keep quiet. He tells her that it's normal for him to say that to her, but she should ask him what made him stop playing. She replies that she was about to tell him that he should have thought carefully before making that decision. When he finally hears her talking more openly, he holds her face and laughs, saying she looks like Donald Duck when she gets serious. The important thing is that, without realizing it, he starts telling her about himself, that he has a little sister in 3rd grade, and that their mother passed away when they were young. Their father visits them every now and then because he works abroad. Since then, they've been living with their grandmother. He continues, explaining that because his grandmother is old now, she's no longer able to take care of him, so he does everything in the house after coming back from school. Because of his responsibilities, it has affected his favorite hobby. Rhoda feels sad when he tells her about his difficult life, so she gives him hope and assures him that he must have confidence that whatever he couldn't achieve before, he can pursue again, as long as the talent is still there. Even if not now, it will certainly happen later. Her words clearly affect him, and he begins to feel something special toward her. Another time, she's with Sila and Yunira, eating something delicious at a restaurant. Sila notices the admission form Yunira has. When she asks about her choice for Friday, Yunira tells her that she's going to enroll in the Faculty of Law. As for Rhoda, when Sila asks her, she answers as usual that she's still hesitant. Sila calmly says that she wants to love and be loved, and that's all. The next day at school, Sila and Rhoda are walking together when they see Sito with his friends. He asks them about Yunira, and Sila turns to Rhoda, asking if Sito loves her. At the same time, Sila admits that Yunira is beautiful and deserves to be loved. Then she confesses that she has admired Sito since middle school. At that moment, Rhoda is shocked and blurts out, "You also admire him?" But Sila assures her that their talk must remain a secret between them and shouldn't get out. Not only that, Sila asks Rhoda to help her, and Rhoda agrees without hesitation. As time passes, their classmates begin to notice that Rhoda's taste in songs has shifted toward one-sided love themes, and sometimes she only listens to songs by the band Sito loves. When she's at home, she finds a new note from Sato telling her that the songs her friend played sound better than before. It's clear that Rhoda feels frustrated because she wants to tell him that the person he's talking to is Rhoda, not Jdrama, but she's afraid he'll misunderstand and think she's selfish. Still, she can't stop herself from writing to him and continues their correspondence. Meanwhile, we see Sato, who reads her words in the notebook while practicing, and they give him courage and passion to keep going with what he's doing. The next day, Sela is with Rose, who is Sato's friend. He offers to let her go to the amusement park with him. When she agrees, he tells her that Sato will also be there and asks her to bring Jdrama along with her. As soon as Sela arrives at the classroom, she feels frustrated and talks about the mood she's in. Rhoda's heart leaps the moment she hears this, because she's worried that Jdrama and Sato might talk and discover that she was the one writing in the notes instead of Jdrama. The important thing is that Sato suggests that Rhoda go with them, so the group will be bigger and there won't be any awkwardness. Although she first rejects the idea, she eventually agrees to the situation. On the day off, she carefully prepares herself and chooses an outfit to wear. We find her among the first to arrive at the amusement park. When Sato sees her, he's clearly impressed by her appearance. Her casual clothes and hairstyle are completely different from the ones she wears at school. The girl, as she looks at him, tries to hide her feelings and tells him not to act that way. She still can't believe that he might actually like her, and things begin to change. When Jdrama arrives and notices the admiration on Sato's face, she also becomes aware of Jdrama's focus on him. We see that Rhoda introduces Sela to everyone, and they all get to know each other. Sato looks a bit embarrassed, but tells Rhoda that he's happy to see her. The most important thing is that they all have a wonderful time at the amusement park, a day full of playing, laughter, and jokes. While they are all eating together, Rhoda notices that Sato and Jdrama get along very well. They talk easily and seem to have a great friendship. What upsets Rhoda the most is that she sees them as a perfect match. Afterward, Sato is chosen to throw away the trash. At that moment, he asks Rhoda what kind of drink she wants. As usual, she replies, "Anything," and he teases her about it. He brings her red bean soup, and she's surprised. How could he pick that? He reminds her that she was the first to say anything. She takes it and tastes it, and strangely enough, she actually likes it. What's important here is that he catches her attention once again because she still struggles with the same issue he once pointed out. She doesn't have her own opinion. She responds to him shyly, saying that's just her nature. But all of a sudden, Sato changes his tone and makes her realize that it's actually an advantage that she can enjoy any situation, and that's a good thing. His words make her genuinely happy, especially when he gives her the teddy bear she won in one of the games. However, by the end of the day, she feels sad when she sees Sato with Jdrama riding a horse-drawn carriage together. It's clear that they get along perfectly, and they seem completely in sync. That night, when she's at home, Rhoda writes in her notebook, crying as she admits that the amusement park trip was fun. The next day, in the broadcast room, Sato talks to her and gives her a book to help her learn the correct pronunciation of the English alphabet. Later, we find that Rhoda takes first place in the English exam, unlike Sato, whose score isn't very good. He jokingly decides to scare her by asking her for English lessons, saying he heard she got the top score in the subject. Before he leaves, he writes down his account name and gives it to her. At another time, she's waiting for him in the library, wondering if he isn't coming to study. Suddenly, he appears in front of her and suggests that she come study at his house. The girl is completely shocked. She freezes in place, and when he finds her staring blankly, she's startled. He reminds her that his grandmother and little sister will be home, so there's nothing to worry about. While they're walking, Jdrama stops her and gives her a flyer for a radio course. Rhoda thanks him for helping her, even though they hadn't talked for a while. We notice that Sato seems overly focused on Jdrama for a moment, but soon after, they continue on their way. When they arrive at Rhoda's house, she can't focus on studying at all. Her eyes wander around the room, admiring the decorations, and she's happy to realize that they share the same taste and style. While they're studying, his little sister, Sugar, brings them tea and sweets. Later that same day, Sato walks Rhoda home. Suddenly, he surprises her by grabbing her hand and pulling her toward the basketball court. He wants to teach her how to play basketball. He starts showing her how to bend her knees and move her wrists properly so the ball will go into the basket. He demonstrates a few times and asks her to focus on his movements. The girl tries it once, twice, 3 times, until finally she's almost able to score a goal. At that moment, Sato explains to her that when he told her about quitting football, he had been feeling frustrated at the time, but her words were able to change his mood and give him back the passion he was missing. That same day, when she is at home, she keeps thinking about what he said and begins to feel guilty. The next day, she notices Sito asking Jdrama to bring him her history book. Of course, this is just an excuse because he wants to start a conversation with her, and that's all. Meanwhile, when her classmates comment on how well the two of them seem to match, she becomes upset. Even though she wishes her friend all the best, we find her wanting to take a break and go to the broadcast room. At that moment, Rhoda is waiting for her there. On the other hand, we see Sito on his way to the broadcast room. He intends to put the notes in the box, but when he sees them standing together, he changes his path and avoids them. The important thing is that Rhoda asks her to reconcile and forget any resentment that happened between them. However, she apologizes to him and explains that they are just friends, nothing more. At the same time, Sito is standing nearby, listening to everything they say. Later, when she's at home, she thinks again about what he said, and then a message from Sito arrives, thanking her because his English grades have improved thanks to studying with her. At that moment, she seizes the opportunity and asks to meet him the next day because she needs to talk to him about something important. We then learn that she has decided to tell him everything. The next day, she is in class and finds some girls there. Her classmates ask Rhoda about the handsome boy she was standing with that morning, so she starts talking. They tell her he is from another school and ask to meet him. She agrees, and at that moment, Rhoda doesn't hesitate to draw her attention to the fact that there is another person close to her who admires her. She doesn't understand, and as soon as she hears that, she turns to her and assures her that she isn't up to it. Her words are a trap, meaning she wants to hide Sato's admiration for her, and her jealousy stings. She accuses Jdrama of liking the attention of boys around her, and all the talk turns into girls' jealousy. Jdrama warns her not to cross her limits. Then Rhoda is left alone in the classroom, and ex-boyfriend assures her that she's upset because she didn't want things to go that far between them. At that moment, Sato arrives, and she is about to take the notebook out of the drawer to tell him the truth, but he beats her to it and grabs her by the hand. They both go up to the school roof. She dares to tell him that her friends had a fight, and she was in the middle of it because she never makes decisions and is always hesitant. She explains that she always feels confused about important things, so he wants to help her. He points to a distant mountain and asks her to imagine him standing in front of her, telling her to scream out loud. He starts doing it himself so that she can imitate him. When she tries to do the same, her voice comes out muffled at first, but little by little, her voice echoes across the whole school. Later, when he returns, he sits with her in class, talking about her ex-boyfriend, and asks if she still loves him. She explains that she never got to reciprocate any of his feelings because he couldn't stand her hesitation and broke up with her. He advises her that the next time she likes someone, she should be honest and clear with him. The next day, while she's in the broadcast room, she is surprised when Sila appears in front of her and asks her to play the record she has with her. The girl doesn't object, and before anything happens, the students learn that the song being played is at the request of one of their classmates. We discover that the song is about apology and forgiveness. At that moment, Sila apologizes to her and asks for her forgiveness. Rhoda, with her pure heart, accepts the apology, and based on that, they both have lunch together. On the other hand, we notice Jdrama running toward the broadcast room. Although she had no involvement in the fight and wasn't the one who started it, she also apologizes to them. We see that the three of them reconcile and return to normal. While they are having lunch together, Jdrama notices a movement outside the room. At that moment, she goes out and then comes back a few minutes later, holding a note in her hand. When she opens it, she asks Rhoda to explain the meaning of the words written inside. As usual, Rhoda doesn't know how to respond and apologizes to her. Jdrama leaves sadly. Another time comes the time for the competition between the divisions. While Rhoda's division is playing, Sato stands there, watching her, waiting to see her score a goal. The ball reaches her, and before she throws it into the basket, she remembers his training. Indeed, she scores the goal. Later, when Sato goes to the classroom and looks at her desk, he finds a note written that says she doesn't want to give up on her love, and she never will. At that moment, Sato feels that these words are directed at him. We return to Rhoda, whose attention is drawn to how much she has changed from before. Now she can express her opinion without hesitation. This wasn't her nature when she was with him. We see that his words to her encourage her to start talking to Jdrama. While they are walking together, Jdrama reminds her that they have been friends since kindergarten. She means that she is the one who knows her best and is certain that it's not in Rhoda's nature to hurt anyone. Therefore, she is confident in her good intentions and gives her her the note. She tells her that she's sure lying must have been difficult for her and imagines how much she suffered. So, she advises her to be honest with Sato because she knows this will make her feel better. That night, Rhoda sits by herself and reads the paper Yunira wrote before talking to him. The next day, she decides to write him a reply and leaves it in her desk drawer. When he enters the classroom and sees it, he immediately runs to the broadcast room. Since she's there, we see Rhoda for the first time speaking on the radio, asking her classmates to live naturally and not to change their true colors. At that moment, Yunira listens to her and feels pleased that Rhoda is finally expressing her feelings and saying the words she always wanted to say. The important thing is that Sato reaches her and wants to know the meaning behind the words she wrote in her reply. She tells him that she had written it from the beginning, but never told him the truth. While he's talking, she accidentally bumps into something and activates the broadcast button. He surprises her by confessing that he's admired her for a long time and had tried to hint at it in many ways. On the other hand, all the students are listening and are happy to discover that he admires her because she is a calm and kind person, loved by everyone around her. At that moment, he explains to her that the story began with a letter left on his desk. At that time, he thought Yunira was the one who wrote it. The surprise was that through their conversations in the notes, he realized he had been wrong and confirmed that it was Rhoda who had written those words. He shocks her by telling her that he had always been talking to her as if she were Rhoda, not as she had misunderstood. He also tells her that, most of the time, his eyes were never taken off her. After he explains everything that happened, he finally confesses his admiration for her. All at once, Rhoda cries out and tells him that she loves him so boldly that he is startled by her courage, which feels a bit too sudden, yet he is happy about her honesty. From that moment on, they decide to continue their journey together in this world, and thus, the series ends. I hope that, if you have reached the end, you will subscribe to the channel and support us with a like. You can also check out other series that you might enjoy. We have many beautiful ones, and I can recommend the best for you, dear viewer. Thank you, and peace.